And welcome to the Scholar Online YouTube channel, the channel that is all about learning. You can visit our website on https://scholar.online. You will find more courses on what we teach right here on this YouTube channel and much more. Remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so that you'll be notified every time we have new content. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. In this video, we're going to start a whole new journey on this channel. We've done a lot of web development. We've done a lot of Python, Django, e-commerce stuff, but because this is a channel that is all about learning, I'm always going to be trying and striving towards teaching you new and interesting things. We want this channel to be the one place that you want to come to learn all the latest trends and moving things within technology. And there's nothing that is more trending these days if you're on the internet than Web 3.0, okay? So I've thought about it and I've decided in the next couple of weeks, maybe 2 months or so, we're going to start working on some tutorials that I will be teaching you some cool, interesting stuff that you can start building on Web 3.0, or specifically what is Web 3.0, because I'm sure you've heard this term being thrown around a couple of times by a couple of people here and there. Everywhere you go is this Web 3.0. What is it? So basically, in very simple terms, if somebody asks you, this is how you answer them. Web 3.0 is the next iteration of the internet. Okay, we had the internet 1, we had internet 2, now we are on the internet 3. Okay, so think about it as the industrial revolutions. Okay, we've had the first industrial revolution, the third one. This is supposed to be the fourth one that we're in with all these new technologies. Web 3.0 is something similar to that. The term Web 3 itself, actually I first came across Web 3 in my blockchain development days. Okay, so if you've been on this channel, you know I do a lot of webchain block development courses. Some of them I do halfway here and then I finish them on my website. But Web3 is used a lot in the blockchain development space. There's actually a whole Python library on Web3, and maybe I'll do something like that when I'm on web development, specifically Ethereum development. Maybe we'll do something on Ethereum tokens, and let me know if you're interested in learning more on NFTs. They're the new thing today. All right, they are all over the place. I mean, I was in NFTs back in the days of CryptoKitties. If you still remember CryptoKitties, the very first NFT that came out, and it was huge. And I mean, we couldn't believe that people were buying these damn cats for like the prices they were buying them for, right? But so maybe I'll do something on that later. But today I don't want to to get out of my within this journey. We will eventually maybe reach that space where we do some development on Ethereum, and I teach you some actual cool stuff that you can develop right now in your own space with some tokens and maybe other cryptocurrency tokens, the decentralized internet. But today what I want to focus on is just a high level definition of Web 3.0. What is it? Okay. So Web 3.0, I want to link this in the description of the video that you're watching right now. I Googled it and this is one of the things that come up. So if you're defining this to to a 2-year-old, it's the next iteration of the internet, but specifically these are the features or the kind of things or the kind of technologies that you should be expecting in Web 3.0. Okay, the first one is decentralization. I've already mentioned this when you're talking about cryptocurrencies and so forth. That's decentralization. So the whole idea of centralization is everything is in one server. If you look at all the things we develop, all the blocks, all the stuff that we have done on this channel, is all centralized. Okay, I show you how to do a server that you're gonna maybe develop on DigitalOcean. That DigitalOcean server is sitting in one place that's being controlled by one person. I'm the developer. I control everything that's happening on that server. I build it, I design it, and everybody's gonna have to go through my web application to get anything done. Okay, so that's Web 2.0. That's last year's stuff. Okay, in Web 3.0, what we're talking about is decentralization. Stuff is no longer centralized in one place. What we're saying is that instead of having one server that is serving everything, you're gonna have a network of servers, or you're gonna have a peers of servers that are all equal on the same level, and they're able to serve the same content or the same products, whatever it is you're doing. So think of cryptocurrency, it's decentralized. Okay, that is what made it great. Okay, if Bitcoin, the first cryptocurrency that came about, is decentralized. You no longer have one server that is serving the Bitcoin network. That is why it has been so resilient over the years, because you can't shut it down, okay? There is millions and millions of connected nodes that are running the software, okay? So if one node goes down, there's a million more nodes that are pumping, that are sort of working, that are pushing that network. So everything is in one place. There is no one place you can go to shut down the Bitcoin server. There is no one place you can go to and say, I'm going to arrest that CEO because I'm banning this thing and, you know, we don't want this product anymore. There's no such, because it's decentralized. It's being run by lots and lots of people all across the world. And so that is the idea of Web 3.0, is that we're going to move away from having things being run in a centralized manner to having more votes and having more people involved in the same thing and people pushing it. And I think it's probably the only reason why Bitcoin has survived as long as it has survived. It is resistant to being, you know, controlled or to being shut down, because it is run by everybody across the world in all the multiple countries. Okay, so that is the first feature of decentralization. But there is also trustless and permissionless. Okay, so this is like okay, well, I'll have to go a lot of detail into explaining, you know, crypto and decentralization to explain what this trustless and permissionless do, what they're talking about. But they are all features of this new, you know, decentralization. Is that for the technology to work and for you to be truly decentralized, of course, you need to you can't have a trust system. You don't have one central authority that you trust, okay? Because the mathematics and the you know the coding manages the, you know, the logic of how everything works together, okay? So for me to send one Bitcoin to another person, I need to have Bitcoin in my wallet. It needs to be confirmed. It needs to have been mined. It needs to, you know, be available on the ledger, on the system. So I don't need to trust. I don't need to go to the bank's head office and give them my account number for them to prove, you know, for them to confirm that I've got this amount, because it's on the system, it's recorded, it's on the ledger, okay? So you don't need to have a central authority that has trust to manage the system, because the system is managed by mathematics. The system is managed by code. The system is managed by the what we call, you know, the security measures behind, you know, the hashing and the, you know, and the key generation, and the fact that, you know, it's really difficult to crack, you know, the kind of encryption that goes behind, you know, all of that. So we don't have to trust a central authority. We trust the mathematics. We trust the coding. We trust the key generation. We trust the fact that, you know, the system has been designed to be tamper-proof. And that is what is going to be going towards the future. So now we no longer need a central authority. We no longer need a whole, you know, bank to manage our money. We can manage it with our mathematics and our and so forth. Okay, so that is what so then you might think, is Web 3.0 completely just cryptocurrency? No. Okay, that's the beginning of it. And I think a lot of the Web 3.0 discussions and even labeling this as the next iteration of the internet started around the whole concept of cryptocurrency and what happened, you know, with when Bitcoin hit the market and so forth. But to be honest, I think the concept has evolved over time. That today it's no longer just about that. It's about you know, artificial intelligence. It's actually thinking about the fourth industrial revolution, the whole, you know, intelligent way of doing things, the Internet of Things, the, you know, being able to combine, like look at IOTA, being able to combine the Internet of Things with blockchain technology, being able to combine artificial intelligence with blockchain technology. We're sort of moving towards, you know, all of that in combination is what, you know, is termed Web 3.0. It's definitely, it's the next evolution of the internet. It's the next industrial revolution. It's the future. And I think if you're a developer and you're new in the industry, perhaps it's something that you want to start learning and investing a lot of time and effort in growing, you know, your knowledge in that space. And if I must mention something, I'm a developer, and my development journey, funny enough, believe it or not, actually started with blockchain development. Okay, I started blockchain development before I did web development, right? Back in the beginning, that's me just sharing my story. I used to do Ethereum tokens. I used to do all these things that you see today that are creating a hype. I used to do them back then, before they were even, back then in the days of CryptoKitties, okay? So before it was like before NFTs were even a huge thing, before people were still asking what the hell are these, and we didn't call them NFTs back then. We used to call them, there was a name for it, you know, because Ethereum used to have a token standard, right? So they were the first token standard that you could create a token on top of Ethereum. And I think the idea was that people wanted to do ICOs. You know, there was the age of ICOs, yes, independent coin offerings. What was it? Yeah, ICO. So let's say you wanted to build your own blockchain, right? But you needed to fund it because you need to get money. Instead of going to VCs and getting VCs to fund your token, what they used to do back then was build on top of Ethereum their own token, right? So I could build my own token, like a Scolo token, like whatever it is, I build it. And it was like a sort of a fundraising method or a sort of an initial, coin offering where I would then put it out in the market, and you could trade these coins even on like Binance, on big exchanges, coins that were based off Ethereum, and people would buy these coins based on absolutely nothing, based on like a little white paper. All you had to do was to draft a white paper that said we're selling these tokens because we want to build something with it, right? And people would buy these tokens, and tokens would blow up, and people were just selling nothing. They were selling air, and ICOs like blew out, and they were like a big thing. But they were fungible tokens, so they were like similar to Ethereum. If I have one Ethereum, it's the same as another Ethereum. Okay, if I had one fungible token, it was the same as another fungible token. I could exchange my token for another one. I could trade it. It could increase in value, but there was nothing to differentiate a specific token from another one. Right, and that was the path. And then Ethereum came with the next standard and the next iteration, and then they created the non-fungible tokens, which were similar to the fungible ones, except you could identify a specific token with its identity. So if I had a token, a fungible token, a non-fungible token, you could decide the ownership, and you could always tell one Bitcoin was not the same as another one, right? So one token was not the same as another one, and you could differentiate its identity, its ownership, its unique signature to that specific token. And that's when CryptoKitties first came out, and they blew up, and because you could have a specific cat that has specific features, specific genetic traits, and some features were rarer than others were more common than others. You had like all sorts of features that you could put together, and we used to buy this cats, and I used to have a couple of them as well. And you would over some time, the cats would be able to sort of mate with each other, so you could buy male female cats, and they could mate, okay, we didn't have male female, you had what they call seers, but they were the same thinking, same methodology. And then the cats could produce more cats, so you could have breed these cats, and you could have maybe you get lucky and you get the genetic lottery, and you get a cat that has those rare features which were the most wanted features, and you could sell a cat with rare features, for a whole lot of money. So imagine horse breeding, right? You know how horse breeding works, when you want to breed a prized horse, you want a horse with speed and all of that, and sometimes you need to get two really strong horses to breed a winner horse. It was something like that. You used to think about the maths of which features do I want in a cat to give me the highest chances of me breeding a winner cat. But it was all made up stuff, at the end of the day. But it was fun and interesting. People used to play these games. I used to have a couple of cats. I think if I go into my my Ethereum wallet, I'm still gonna find. I still have some, and if they're valuable, I don't know. Maybe I'll trade them. I still have CryptoKitties from those olden days. I'm sure I do in my MetaMask wallet. If I can figure out my flipping passcode and secret whatever, because a lot of coins have been lost because people lost keys, and I'm sure I've lost mine as well. And I've been using, it's been such a long time ago. But the point I'm trying to make here is that the idea of non-fungible tokens came from that, right? And then the whole cryptocurrency market went downhill in 2018, right? We had the whole Bitcoin going from close to 20K a coin down to 3,000 Rand a coin in 2 months. And then everything was just bleak. Companies were closing down. There were great crypto startups that just went bankrupt. The ICO craze died down. Everything was for a year and a half, the market just had to cool down. And I think that's around the time that I left my cryptocurrency space as well, because at that time you couldn't make any money doing anything, right? And I don't know why I didn't have the idea back then to do a YouTube channel on crypto, because I should be big by now if I had started back then, right? But then I decided to completely change directions and go into web development, because it was easy then. It was an easier move to go from cryptocurrency development to web development, because now suddenly, I can build stuff people want today, right? I can build people actual things they can pay me for now, because at that time I just needed the money. But now, Web 3.0 is making a comeback. it took me a while to catch the wagon. So I think in my channel, I'm going to start including some of these videos going forward. I know my blockchain content gets a lot of attention, even though it's like basic stuff, you know, but maybe what I need to start building on is this kind of development. And if you think this is a good journey for us to go on, let me know, okay? So maybe within 2-3 months, I will start doing some videos on this. But today specifically, the reason why I created this video was I want to start a journey on machine learning, AI development, and I'm not teaching you basic understanding AI models and things like that. I'm trying to teach you using how to use those tools that are available in AI to build real solutions for people today. So this is still a development learning platform. We are not a theoretical learning platform. So I'm not going to be teaching you the theories of artificial intelligence or understanding the details of how the models work. Okay, I'm not teaching that, but I'm going to teach you having tools out there. How can you use those tools to build real solutions that you can actually monetize today? All right. So starting with AI, let's get into that. And something I've been trying to do for like a couple of months now is using the OpenAI. All right. So we're going to go into OpenAI, which is over here. All right. OpenAI is it's an artificial intelligence. I don't know how to put it. It's an artificial intelligence sort of startup. And I'm going to link this in your description below, and you can go read on it. But I think Elon Musk is one of the people behind it, and a couple of other guys who wanted to create an AI API for people to use that is already pre-trained on certain, with the data, first of all, that it needs, but also with, with the models, the right models. So they've done the AI work in the background, and they've created these models that are able to produce, human-like, content or human-like communication. Like, if you wanted to write something a human being would say, whether it's an email or a post on Facebook, it would be completely human. It would look like it was written by a human being, and the AI learns from obviously millions and millions of Facebook posts about how human beings would talk about a specific topic, right? And they've already built that, so you don't have to go and start gathering the data and start training models and start figuring out, what is the right model, what is the right features, what are all the hyperparameters I gotta use. You don't have to do all of that, so you don't have to know the AI tech lingo or the AI details, but you can use the API for your own use case. Of course, it's not free, but it's affordable enough that you can build something with it and monetize it. Okay, and I'll give you some examples. Right, there is a lot of startups today that use this. Okay, I'll give you one that comes to mind. Papertype, right? Papertype.ai is a startup that I discovered on Product Hunt, funny enough. And it did really, really well on Product Hunt. I think it was even Product of the Month at some point. Let me just read this and make sure. Yeah, it was even number 3 Product of the Month. So it did really, really well. Okay. So what Papertype does is that, and I think I've talked about this on this channel in the past, is that, and there's many like it. It's one of maybe 50 that I've seen in the last couple of months. So these startups are booming up everywhere, right? And all of them have got the same theory in the background. Okay, they're using this type of tool methodologies. Maybe they built their own AI. I don't know how the backend works, but it's a similar type of AI that is available on OpenAI. All right, where these AIs have been trained with human-like data, millions and millions of human-like data, to be able to produce human-like content. So let's say you are a marketing person and you want to create a Facebook post, and you have to create like 10, 20 Facebook posts a day, and you just don't have the intellectual capacity, capability or the strength to think up 10, 20 different unique ideas in like a space of 8 hours, right? You could probably do it, but like sometimes these things they just take a lot of effort to just think, right? And you can put then ideas into an AI, and AI can generate for you random content that is human readable, that is actually looks like it was written by a human being, okay, for this content of yours. And then you can you can do that. So if you look at Papertype, they've got you can look at products, right? Where is it? Products. Try Papertype AI. Maybe they want to ask me to log in. I don't know, but I want to show you the kind of things it does. You can produce blog content. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that one But there's another one. Let me give you another one. Okay, writer. Like I said, I know a lot of these AI stuff, right? So if you look at writer, for example, right, and you can pick like whatever you want to write about, blog idea, description, primary keyword. I want to write about what is an interesting topic? Learn e-commerce web development, right? And produce one variant and write for me, right? This is how simple this kind of AI things work, right? And you give it an idea, you give it exactly what you want it to produce for you, and it goes and looks into a lot of the training that it has done in the background with information that it has, and it creates for you content that you can work with. So this is like, I'm trying to find blog ideas and outline. So this is a typical blog I can write about e-commerce, the essential guide to e-commerce web development for beginners. It even gives you the keywords that it has used, so that when you later on want to get more details, you can use those keywords, right? How to build your first online store. What are the popular payment gateways for e-commerce? The amazing benefits of building e-commerce site using WordPress. Look at that. These are all ideas it came up with based on its own training, okay? And writer is really, really good. So how does writer work? In the background, it's got maybe not exactly the same, because I don't really know the stack behind writer. I'm just guessing, but it's got something similar to what's available on OpenAI. All right. It's got these engines that you can use to get specific stuff and train it, and then it gives you the content. And if you can learn OpenAI, maybe you can build a web application like this for yourself, and you can charge it, because this AI writers are going for, if you look at Java's, which is the most popular one, all right? If you know Java's.ai, Java's charges what, up to $90 a month. Okay, this is where I started. Okay, I used to pay $90 a month for these AI writers, because they really honestly save you a lot of time, and that's fucking ridiculous to pay this amount of money for that. All right, but this is one of the oldest, the biggest, well known, and I'm sure Java's probably wrote their own code behind. I don't know how their background, what stack they're using in the back, if they're using OpenAI, but I can tell you that the majority of these tools that exist today in the industry, they use OpenAI API. And if you think about it, if you can charge even $29, which is what writer charges a month for clients, you only need to make like what, 10, 20, 100 clients to make a good amount of money from this. And trust me, there is always a market for this. This is an industry that is just hitting a place where it's gonna boom up, and this is a brilliant startup idea of something you can build. All right, so I'm gonna take you today through going through this OpenAI. All right, so we're gonna go and create an account, because I tried it before, and there was a whole long process to get approvals, and it was like trying to get approvals for using the the Facebook API. It was like a nightmare forever, but now apparently the approvals are not so tedious, and you can like almost get started with your API keys, and it's easier to sort of use the API than it was in the past, because obviously they don't want people to abuse these things. They don't want you to build something that, for example, is not honest about the fact that the content is AI generated. They don't want you to build something that maybe is going to just start producing random content and not think through, because there's a danger of, obviously, with this kind of technologies. And I think they had to be careful about it. And it makes sense why they had to do it, because if you're going to start creating random blogs that are not even like thought through by human beings, and they're all AI generated, how long until the whole internet is just full of because it's going to just produce the same stuff. It's going to just how AI works. It uses history to predict and make something of the future. But now if all of your stuff is going to be AI, then the history is just going to repeat itself. You'll never break out of, there'll never be innovation. There'll never be like human thinking. So there's a danger to having too many of these tools around. I think we're trying to control the reach, but also there's a danger to, if companies just all they do is generate AI content instead of actually generating real human, So I think that's what they're trying to avoid. But anyway, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and create an account. I don't know if I should do it via Google, or let me do it via Google. I think it'll be faster. And let me do it via Google. Let's use our Scholar Online Google account and log in and see if we can create a an account using that. Okay. All right. I am Scholar Online. Yes. Verify my phone number. So let me do that. I'm gonna enter my phone number here if I can find my phone. Okay. I'm exploring for personal use. Awesome. That was amazing. Okay, let's get started with the OpenAI. Now, when you first create an account, this is a page that you're gonna land on. Okay, I'm really so excited that they've decided to remove the whole verification process that I could never get past before, because I wasn't building anything serious and I didn't have the time and the effort to go through their verification. But now it looks like you can definitely test things out for free. Not really free, because they do give you a bit of credit which is going to run out immediately. Now I'll explain to you how all of that works. Okay, so the way so let me call this the OpenAI sort of engines or models. All right, they call them engines, but they're really AI models, right? So there are different types of models that are available on the OpenAI, and they all have different strengths and weaknesses and different capabilities depending on what you're trying to get at. Okay, so this is the basic foundation of being able to understand how to work with OpenAI. Okay, so the very first and the most commonly used model is the Davinci model. Okay, but it is also the most expensive model. And if you look at all their examples, when you run the examples on the website, which we will go through later, the default model is the Davinci one, which is the most expensive one. Okay. However, it is the most capable, it is the most advanced, it has all the things that you need, the majority of the things that you will probably want to do with OpenAI. And it is also the slowest, okay, because it has obviously more complicated model, it costs more, it is also the slowest, okay. And so you need to sort of weigh, what accuracy do you want out of your engine versus how much money you're willing to spend on it. And if you're going to monetize this, how much are your clients willing to pay to get this results out. The next one, which is just as capable, if not more, is the Curie engine. Okay, the Curie engine is a little bit faster and it costs a much less. All right, so if you look at this list as you go from top to bottom, the models are going to become a little bit faster, but maybe a little bit less capability and less complex. Okay, so the Davinci is the most capable, it's the most complex, is the most expensive, and is the slowest. Okay, and then you can go to the Curie one, it's just a little bit beneath that. It is capable enough, but it's going to be way faster and definitely cheaper because it uses less resources. And then after that, you get to the babbage one, which is even faster. However, it is less capable than the first two models as well. But it also depends on what you're trying to achieve. Okay, so these models are not all created equally. And when you have time, do go through the documentation, because there is a lot of explanations and definitions out of the documentation. I'm a believer of I know it's easy to watch YouTube videos, but if you're going to build something like this and you're going to be serious about it, invest in the time to go and read this documentation in a lot of detail so that you can understand what is available and what can be done and how much it costs and what are the different models. Because if you look over here, I've tried to summarize this. Okay, the Curie, for example, is good for conversational and if you want to do language translations. But Babbage, you can use Babbage because it's going to be cheaper. And if you're just doing like searching and classifications, you can use that for sure. So it depends on what you're trying to achieve. Okay, so text classification, like for example, you want to classify semantics, tweets, for example. Maybe you got like a bunch of tweets and you're building an AI model to classify the sort of the tone or the what is the tweet all about. You can use ADA, which is the cheapest, the fastest, all right? But if you want to do like generate ideas and content, for example, blog generation, perhaps that's a little bit more complicated and maybe Ada won't be able to do a good job on it. Then you're gonna try and work with something like Davinci or Curie. Okay, so it depends on what you're trying to do. Okay, and like I said, take the time to read through the documentation, because depending on what the use case is and what you're trying to achieve, you're gonna probably work with the different engines. Okay, Then the nice thing I like about OpenAI as well is that there's good examples, all right? So there's decent examples on their website that you can work with. And I'm going to work with one of the examples just to test that everything works, okay? I created this account right here in front of you. I haven't paid anything for it, okay? I'm just going to try and test some of the things out to figure out, really how does the, the free trial work, and, with these credits, how do they also work as well, okay? So there's a page also that explains the credits, because you're going to need to understand how much tokens you're using, because every time you make an API call, you don't get charged. They don't charge you per dollar or per fixed financial cost. They charge you per token, okay? And a token sort of represent a certain output, okay? So if you're gonna be looking for like a long explanation or a long product description which has lots of words, and you want 2 or 3 different versions of it, okay, you're going to be using up more tokens, and then it's going to cost you more. But if you're doing something simple, like you just want maybe 1 sentence of summarization, which uses less tokens, it's going to cost you less. So they charge you based on the output that you're getting out of it, and depending on how so if you're going to monetize this, think about that as well, and how you are going to charge your clients for the use cases that you're going to be providing of this OpenAI, okay? The next thing that I want to cover is some other things, randomness, temperature, but we'll get into that a little bit more detail when we're looking at our example. But what I want to discuss now is the free trial. Okay, so when you get started now, I really like what they've done, is that you can now get $18 of a free trial. Okay, so that means that you can actually test out this API. You can use the different engines, and you can do a lot of stuff, and you can do it for free until you use up your $18. And then after that, you're going to have to start paying, and you're going to have to enter a credit card, which will be billed as you use the OpenAI. So it's definitely not free. And if you're going to use this to create a use case, or you're going to monetize this, you are going to have to charge your clients for this, and it's not going to be available for free. But in my opinion, whatever they're charging you for it is way cheaper than you trying to build your own artificial intelligence engine, and even getting the data for it would just, what these guys have done for me is really amazing to make AI more accessible to the average developer. And definitely, if your clients are going to use it, I don't expect to use it for free. So you can, you can take the cost down to your client and build them interesting solutions, and they will pay for it, okay? So this is how it works, okay? So Davinci, like I said, is the most expensive one. So for $18 will get you 300 tokens on Davinci, right? But the same $18 will get you 3 million tokens on Curie. So you can see the difference in price between Davinci and Curie. It's orders of magnitude much more expensive, okay? So I would use Davinci if I really have to use it. It is the most expensive one, okay? So 3 million tokens on Curie for $18, but the same $18 will get you 15 million on Babbage and 22.5 million on ADA. Okay, so as you go down the models, they become cheaper, so you can get more out of the same buck by using a cheaper models. Okay, but it depends, again, like I said, on the use case itself. All right, so with that in mind, and we've got free $18, let's put it to the test and try out some stuff. Okay, so the next page is a page full of examples. Okay, so you've got idea generations, and there's a lot of these AI tools, and I told you specifically that I'm going to be trying to rebuild some of these tools that I use that charge you like what, $29 a month or whatever. If you think about it, Block Topic is one of the most I think most commonly used use cases out there with these AI writers. Okay, if you can generate block topics from an idea, okay, you could use one of these engines for it. Okay, and all you have to do is to give it a heading. All right, like the example they give you here is block topics dealing with a daily life living on Mars. Okay, so you give it that idea, block topics within that field, and then you let it generate for you ideas on the different types of block topics you can do. Let's see, try another. Okay, the Martian atmosphere, whatever it is. Okay, so you can think about different types of block topics you want to ask, and then you can get ideas. And remember, you can do a lot of this. You can taglines, YouTube video titles. So you can even say create titles for YouTube videos, and then you give it some ideas of the titles it can create, and then it completes all of that for you. So you can go wild. And I think this is where you can even use things like Facebook posts, Twitter tweets, whatever, so this is how they actually build those kind of things. So let's say let's work with the blog topics, because I think it's the most obvious one. Let's say you wanted to create a blog topic. When you're going through this documentation, and I will link this, you'll see at the top they've got documentation, they've got examples, and they've got playground. And then within the documentations, you can go through the documentations all the way there. You've got the API reference, okay? You've got the guides, which give you some examples and some, things you can use to fine-tune your models. And then obviously the get started, the quick start. So with Python, obviously you definitely want to start here on the developer quick start, because you want to figure out, your API keys and how to at least set that up in Python, all right? So your API key is already generated when you get started. So what you need to do is just to copy this API key, all right? So we're going to copy this API key, and then we're going to go to where we're running our model. Okay, so I've already created a directory over here. And as you can see, I already have my virtual environment activated within where I'm going to be working from. So all I want you to do is either save the API key inside of your environment, or in my specific case, like how I like to do it, I create a file called config.py and save it in there. All right. So copy that key, create a file, however way you save your API keys, whether you're going to do it in an environment or whatever, do that so that you can access it inside of your code. All right. Once you've done that, we're going to come back, and there's some examples of how to make a request, what you're going to use. So when you create a request, okay, you start with so this is like a typical curl request, all right? But I like working with Python, okay? So I think they've got Python examples as well, all right? You can see there's Python. This is the Python examples at the bottom here. So the first thing you need to do is to pip install OpenAI. So just copy that and make sure that your virtual environment is activated, and paste pip install OpenAI, which I've already done, okay? So you do that and then run that program, okay? So once you've done that, it's going to go through and it's going to install OpenAI for you. And then inside of a file, typically you will have, you will initiate your API key by saying OpenAI.API key, and then you're going to put the API key there. All right. While you're testing, you can even hard code it. I don't mind. And then figure out how, later on when you go into production to save it your environment or save it in a different file. And then creating a response is as simple as just calling the OpenAI completion create, okay? So when you create, first of all, you need to specify your engine, okay? What engine are you going to working with? These are the engines that I started defining at the beginning, where you've got your Davinci, Curie, Babbage, ADA. And remember, they've got different capabilities and different prices, okay? So depending on the engine that you're going to use, you're going to pay differently and different capabilities. And you can see they're giving you $18 of free, but remember, $18 only get you 300 tokens on Davinci and 3 million on Curie. So maybe you want to at least start with Curie, which is more capable than all the other ones, but a little bit cheaper. You get 3 million tokens out of it, okay? And then you can say, what it is that you want to the prompt, because this is a completion, so it's going to complete for you. So this prompt is where you would put in what you want the API to return. So in this specific case, let's say you wanted to return blog ideas. If you go back to our example of blog ideas, where is it? I think it's over here, examples. Is it idea generation? Let me open it in a new tab. So if you go back to our idea generation examples, it's taking a bit of time. Where is it? There you go. And we want to do blog topics. You can, if you look at opening this in Playground, let's open this in Playground, for example. And in Playground, you can actually test this thing out. Playground is think of it as an online build, a place where you can run your code, and a lot of APIs have got this, and you can test these things out. Think of a Postman, but it's already pre-built into the browser, and it's pre-built into this website, and already the API calls are sort of built in the back end. You can view the code, you can run them in the Playground. It's gonna use your API keys, by the way, and it's gonna use your credits that you have available, because you need to be logged in here to be able to use this Playground. So it's got everything run for you, and you can use this for testing, whatever. You can test all the different things that are available. So over here, you've got your temperature, your response length. There's a lot of these features that you've got to edit here are the same as where were we before. Let's go back here. You've got these features that you can add on the API call, on the create API call. Okay, so they're not all included there, max tokens, but when you're working on the playground, you'll see that there's a lot that you can adjust and read the documentation. And if you hover on top of it as well, it'll explain to you what this means and how you can edit it. Controls diversity, so you can go from 0 to 1. For example, if you want to understand what is temperature, you can hover over it and it will explain to you, okay, temperature controls randomness. Okay, so you can start with 0 up to 1. Okay, 1 is less random and 0 is more 1 is more random and 0 is less random. This means that if you want to get more variety of answers, you want to have a high temperature as possible. Okay, so you want to go a little bit higher, but then also with more randomness, you might not get responses at all. So there is a case where you can not get anything at all. So sometimes you want to play with this to get the right, for your thing. And maybe you just want to it depends on what you're asking it to do. Okay. And over time, as you test this thing out, you'll figure out where is a good place to have your temperatures depending on the use case that you're giving it. Okay. And then here you can decide the response length. Obviously, you can go all the way from 1, and this is your tokens. Okay. You can go all the way up to 2,000. And obviously, the more your response length, the more expensive and the more you're gonna pay. So I would leave it there where it was at 64. Where was it? I would leave it where it was at 64. I actually would leave all the defaults where they were and see what I generate first, and then start tweaking them to test their sensitivity to test the result sensitivity to the whatever. Then you'll figure out how all of this works. Okay, so I think that $18 will be sufficient for you to play around with this and figure out what you get out. Okay, and the frequency penalty. So there's a lot of things that you can play around here. But what's cool about this as well is at the top there, you can press that view code button and you can see an example of a code that's running this. So you can run it yourself in Python. Okay, so what I did, I just copied all of this and I pasted it inside of Python. So just copy all of that, press the copy button. All right, and then that's it. And then we're gonna go into our Python and we're gonna say nano. I'm going to open a Python document and I'm going to call it a blog.py, I think. Yes. Okay. So yeah, that's the one, right? And just paste everything in here. Okay. The slight differences because I'm not saving my, token in the environment. I've created a file called config and I've saved my token in there, and the way that I access it is to say is openai.api key, and then you say config.openai API key. This is what I call the variable inside of that file called config, and then I'm going to access it like that. And then but everything else is exactly the same: response, OpenAI, completion, create, all of that, block topics on dealing with daily life on Mars. I'm going to use the exact same example, and then I've added just a line at the bottom there that prints the response so I can see the kind of response I'm getting back from the OpenAI. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change my engine from let's see, I'm going to change it from Davinci, which is expensive. I'm going to change it to Curie. All right, so you can do that over there, and you can change the engine, or this is like your model. Okay, this is the model in the background. So I'm going to change this to Curie. All right, and then I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to run this file, and then we're going to see what we get out. All right, so let's say python blog.py, and let's run that. And it takes a while to run, but I think it'll be faster than if we ran that. And you'll see it didn't respond anything. Okay, so a finish reason stop, index is 0, null text, it didn't provide any responses. So I didn't get anything back. All right, so I'm going to go back to opening blog.py, and let's see, changing this back to the engine back to Davinci. All right, so let's change it back to Davinci. Let's just copy that and paste that in there. All right, obviously I want to probably make this a small d. All right, and then let's run this and run python blog.py, and this time it takes again a little bit longer, but it does give you some responses. You can see at the top there the text was nothing. It gave 10, but it didn't give me anything in response. All right, but now it has given me some results. Okay, so what you can do, you can play around with the temperatures over there. So if you open nanoblog.py, you can play around with the temperature, with the max tokens, this top P1 frequency penalty and whatever, and so you can see, you know, what generates more. But I think your biggest thing to work with also is the type of model that you wanted to create. So Davinci is good at creating content. Remember what I had in here, that Curie is powerful at language translation, complex classification, text sentiment summarization. So it might not be good at creating, a text. Maybe that's why nothing was created. Even though you can get more tokens out of it, it doesn't mean that all of these models can do everything that you want them to do. Okay, so if I had something that I was trying to classify text, for example, like I had a tweet that I'm trying to classify, perhaps that's what I would use Curie for. But if I am trying to create, perhaps Davinci is the only one you can use for that. But then keep in mind the tokens and how they get used up. Right, so the last thing that I want to cover here today is you can keep track of your account over here, you know. So account usage, if you go to account usage and you refresh that, I know I've used some of the tokens. Let's rerun this and see where I am in terms of my spending. So you want to track this on a regular basis. You see I've got some, I've used some of the tokens there. Okay, so I've used like a cent out of that $18, all right, just to generate this. So you can see that actually, you know, you can, there's the 13 prompt, 56 completion, 69 tokens, less than $1, 77 tokens, 36 tokens that I've used, and I have about 300,000 tokens. So that's actually quite a bit. Okay, so if you're gonna pay like $100, I mean, you can do a lot with this, and you can definitely create one of those things that you charge people. You know, this company, if you think about how much Jarvis is charging for their thing at $98 a month per user, you know, and you get 100 users, 1,000 users, and trust me, not all those users are going to be utilizing all their tokens by the end of the month. And $100 of tokens per month, that's a lot per person. Okay, so I think if you really think about a cool use case, you can get a really like cash cow with this OpenAI. Okay, and even the OpenAI team haven't even completely described all the use cases that you can get up to their AI. They're actually still waiting for guys to come up with ideas, because they're giving you the tools, they're giving you the engines. It's up to you to come up with the creativity and say, if I had an AI that can generate text, what would I want to build that is really useful for people that would pay me for it? Okay, for me, the first thing that comes to mind that I really like to build, for example, is a tweet generator. All right, being able to generate a random tweet. Right, I'd like to be able to do that based on a topic, right? And then you use that to build some automation software with I know probably they won't allow you to build, they won't approve that use case, because I've seen that being in the no list of the OpenAI, being able to generate a random tweet generator. Okay, that you would then build another Python bot that would then randomly tweet those things for you. So you could keep your Twitter running without actually having to think anything. And you can just like tweet 3-4 times a day randomly from the AI generator, and you got the API at Twitter that just posts that for you, and then you look like you're really busy on Twitter when you're not. So I'd like to build that, but I think you can't do it with OpenAI. They won't approve it. I've seen it's on the no list. But maybe, you know, you can, I'll try some other, AI tools in the future to see how I can do that, because that's what I'd love to build. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. What we're going to do next week is that we're going to expand a little bit on this, and we're going to actually build our own, we're going to start working on building our own AI, like our own Jarvis. Okay, so we're going to work on building our own Jarvis. Let's just make it clear. We're going to work on building our own Jarvis platform where it will be doing random AI, not random, but it will be generating AI content for users. And people can, from the front end of the app, enter what they want. So something like Writer, for example, if you think of Writer, this, and you can start writing and build this kind of platform for yourself and charge people to use it. How much is Jarvis charge? Like an arm and a leg, and you can make a lot of money with this, because I can tell you there is a need for this in the market. This is like the next big thing. If you look at the new apps that are being developed, this is the future of Web 3.0. Definitely one of the things you can do in the Web 3.0 space. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. I spent this week thinking about a nice app that we're going to build using this OpenAI platform. And if you're interested, leave me a comment below. If you like this video or you just want to go back to Django development, let me know either way. And we'll see you guys next week.